Namaste, everyone. Namaste. So this is an introduction to the Panchanga clock. So this is we will talk about the basic concept behind this and the clock itself and so on.
Can I have some mint, please?
Okay.
Can I have some mint?
That was a little bit of background, just a 2 minutes background on how my interest started. See, at home we normally have these calendars, and we have all the nakshatra, tithi, and some timings. So a few years back, 4 to 5 years back, I was very curious to know what these timings are and why have they written different timings on different days. And that's what led to more study on this subject. And by going through many documents and videos and online content, suddenly it appeared that, oh, this is very nice astronomy. So when you open something like this Panchanga, or let's say people are following the Udupi, every region has its own Panchanga, and that's a book. So when we open that and we try to understand what all things they have given, there will be some sections related to rituals and when do we do puja and all. Now, apart from that, and all those things are based on timings, and those timings and the information they have given, if we try to correlate with astronomy, I was actually surprised and so pleasantly surprised because physics and astronomy is also my favorite hobby subject. So this is like hardcore astronomical almanac or tables. Like to give an example, we in the people who have studied science in the PUC, we would have used some people Clark's tables. That's a very basic tables. For everything, we keep looking up to Clark's tables. Similarly, for astronomy and all, there are many big reference things. Here we will know so many things about our solar system, about the different planets and where their positions are and so on. So this curiosity led to the idea of, okay, to understand this visually, to do that, why can't we put it in a graph format or some structure format so that it is easy to understand? And that's how this whole concept started. How to explain it to school kids. And that's where this idea of we have to put it as a dial because we have to visualize. Okay, there are 12 rashis and 12 nakshatras, and what is this rashi and nakshatra? We get confused. What is this tithi? How is it related to sun and moon, and all those things? And when we put together everything, it forms a very cohesive picture of all these things interacting with each other, and the whole system emerges. So one analogy I will draw is, let's say typically at home we have a clock. Like there is a wall clock there. Right? So in a wall clock, what happens? We have the hands of the sun and the hour hand and the minute hand, and the position of that indicates the time at any given point of at a moment. Whereas for Panchanga, what our sages, our ancestors or rishis, what they did was they used the solar system itself as a clock. So here, just as we have the hour hand and minute hand, which is artificially showing the time, there the position of the sun and the moon and the in relation to Earth, and also position of different planets, everything is used. Now, the beauty of this system is we can measure or count or keep track of time right from seconds or milliseconds still for years and millennium. So it's a vast expansion machinery, we can say. The whole solar system is a clock for us. Okay. So with that, I'll first give a background. So we'll use this globe and this is a moon and all for explaining any questions that can come. But I'll show what the clock does. Okay. So this is a clock. I hope the dial is visible now. So we can see the stars are all arranged. There are 27 nakshatras and there are 12 rashis. And that's when I realized, when we say the problem with English is many of the words translated are completely wrong. What I realized was what English calls a star and what we call as nakshatra are totally different. For us, nakshatra can be one star, but nakshatra also is a region of the sky. It's a group of stars. Same way I realized planets. Planet, we have equated it to graha, but graha is different, planet is different actually. Graha is something that has an impact on our life or which is used for our calculation of time and everything. So all those things are all called grahas. And grahagati is about the motion of these grahas in the solar system. That is where sun is also part of a graha, and moon is part of a graha, and we have abstract grahas like Rahu, Ketu and all that. So somebody who
Tomorrow.
doesn't understand this mock it, might make fun of us, saying you people don't know that sun is a star. You are calling sun as a planet. But the point is, we are not calling it a planet. We are calling it a graha, and graha is not a planet. Planet means a wanderer. Graha is not a wanderer. The literal meaning of graha is not a wanderer. It is about something that has an influence on us. And that influence we'll see. It's an indirect influence. It is not like, it might not be that some rays are coming from there or some exotic things are coming. It is just the position of the planet determines time, and time has an impact on our life. Okay. Now coming back to this clock, there are 27 nakshatras and we see them all lined up against the rashis also. Like we start with Mesha Rashi. This Mesha Rashi is 1 second. Mesha Rashi is like the beginning of the zodiac sign, and that is a reference taken by even astronomy. They measure all the zodiac angles and cosmos angles with respect to this point. And even Ashwini Nakshatra is aligned with the Mesha Rashi. And then we go on like Vishabha, Mithuna, Kataka, Simha, Kanya, Tula, like that. And so this hand, which we see, shows the position of moon, and this one shows the position of sun here. Okay. And based on these positions, directly we can read from the clock what is the Tithi Nakshatra right now. And also we can say whether it is Shukla Paksha or Krishna Paksha. And also it has an additional dial in the background, which is called as sky, that shows the east-west horizon. And from that we can know the Lagna, what is the present Lagna that is going on. So yeah, we associate Lagna normally with, at least common people associate with some marriage itself, right? Only because there only we use that term a lot, Lagna. But Lagna, we'll see, it's a daily thing that happens. Okay, so now when we start the clock, see this clock right now, it's in switch off position, right? And when we start, it has to adjust of today's position. So it has been made such that it will auto adjust it. Now I'll turn it on. Okay, so it is starting with welcome to Panchanga. And 1 second. So moon has come to its position automatically. Sun also is set, and we'll interpret it in a short way. Okay, in a short moment, what it is. Sorry if the camera is shaking a little bit. Oh, sorry. I think what will happen. I just reset it because okay, that was one feature that the clock has. See, it has a inbuilt UPS, and the clock can run for about 8 hours on its own. And after we normally can keep it on with the power adapter. What I had done was whole night I had switched it off. Therefore, the battery was not charged. So now once it is turned on, it is resetting itself again. Oh, so now the setting has happened, which means when somebody takes this clock home or something, they might switch it off and then turn it on again. And then when they turn it on, it is showing here in the display, it is showing the present time and the date, 11:21 a.m., 12th Jan 2022. It also gives a lot of other information. We'll come to that information later. See, from how do we start reading the elements here? Moon is what determines most the nakshatra and the rashi and all, right? So when we look at the moon, the pointer of the moon is pointing to Vishaka nakshatra. So right now or today it is Vishaka nakshatra and Tula rashi, and it is pointing to Trayodashi, Shukla Paksha. It's on this side of the sun moon position. So all these three elements we can directly read: Vishaka nakshatra, Tula rashi, and Shukla Trayodashi. Sun is in Vrishabha rashi and it's actually getting closer to Mithuna. Sun also tells what is Chandramana Masa. So Chandramana Masa, the masas are all in the inner, in between these two dials that we see Vaishaka, Jyeshtha and so on. So from as far as Chandramana calendar people, the Masa is Jyeshtha Masa. As far as Suryamana calendar people, for them Masa is still Vrishabha Masa. Which means this clock will be used or it will be same for both. It can be used by both the people who are following Sauramana calendar or Chandramana calendar. Now the background dial which is there, here we see the east and west. Basically what it is telling is the east is pointing to Simha, which means right now the Lagna that is going on is Simha Lagna. And we can also tell half of the Lagna is over and the remaining half is still remaining. Okay, that much is remaining. Especially I think astrologers and all, for them it also matters how much of Lagna is remaining. So they can make out how much is remaining in this. Now this is the Panchanga view. Sorry. This is a Panchanga view of the clock and the elements. From an astronomy view, what all things we can tell? See, astronomy view is saying that now on the east, the Simha Rashi is there. From the east, right now, sun is overhead. So this is in this angle, roughly the sun is, we can see the sun. And typically we can tell somewhat easily where the sun is. But it is difficult to tell where the moon is right now in the sky. But from the clock, it tells that moon is actually below the horizon on the east side and it is at this angle below. We can also tell, for example, see, roughly each Lagna takes about 2 hours. So 2 plus 1, 3 plus 1. About 4 to 5 hours, moonrise will happen today. So that's what we can say from looking at this clock, which means at moonrise time, this Lagna will be here. At sunrise time, Lagna will be there with the sun. So wherever east or this east is pointing to, that we can say what is there in that side of the sky. Okay, and there are additional information that keeps coming here. For example, Bhanuvara, it says Rahu Kala is from 5:03 p.m. to 6:45 p.m. No, but typically everybody says Rahu Kala is from 4:30 to 6 p.m. But here it is saying no, it is not 4:30, it is 5:05 p.m. today. That's because the sunrise time, Rahu Kala and all are dependent on the sunrise time of that place, and that is also dependent on the location, latitude and longitude of the place. So it's a function of latitude, longitude, and also function of the year, like day in the year. So today on 12th June, if you say the Rahu Kala is at 5:05 to 6:45 p.m. is what the clock says. So that's how this clock can be fine-tuned to or set to any place in India or anywhere in the world also. We can set it to US, we can set it to Europe, and there it takes care, and we have to set the time of the local time there. Once it is set, we can read out the Panchanga elements directly. The display also tells about if there is a special festival today or what is our Samvastra name. See, now it is Uttarayana, Shalivana, Shaka, Shubhaspriti Samvastra, Grishma Ritu, Jyeshtha Masa, Shukla Paksha. In a textual format, it gives Trayodashi is till 12:26 a.m. Vishaka Nakshatra is till 11:50 p.m. like that. Simha Lagna is till 12:32 p.m. And Saura Masa Vrishabha is 29th day of Saura Masa Vrishabha today. So this, and if there is any key festival or a few key events and all, that also the display shows. Something like which we have selected about 27 key festivals which are commonly celebrated in the country, and also the key national events and all, it can tell. Now let's say if some child is born right now and we get a call or we are in the hospital and we get to know that the child is born, we can immediately tell that the child is born in Vishaka Nakshatra, second pada. Just a masa. So, right, we can read this from the clock directly. Okay, so with that the basic introduction, I'll stop here and maybe wait for some questions from me, and then we can make it.
It's open for any discussions or any questions that you have. So you can pose any questions to Hari.
See, especially when kids are there. See, one advantage is yeah, if it is in the calendar form, we will not be able to visualize it. What is it? How are the sun, moon placed? Where is what is meant by lagna and so on, right? And in calendar, such a calendar also will have a limitation. They cannot give details of Rahu Kala. They cannot give the details of sunrise, sunset, and all these things. But this clock makes it easy, and it will be easy to teach our kids also. Yes, sir.
Sir, one quick question.
Okay.
So, does this clock have any provision for indicating, to indicate the eclipses, whatever we get, and also, does it show the visual representation of how the eclipse is happening?
Yes. No. Right now, it is possible to develop it, but right now, eclipse information is not coded into this thing. Like we are not incorporated into this one. What happens is, in the Amavasya position, sun and moon will be together. In fact, sun and moon will be rising together on Amavasya. So, and Purnima position, sun and moon will be opposite. See, now it is Trayodasi, tomorrow is Chaturdashi, Purnami. Moon will come here, which means sun will be here and moon will be here. They will be opposite to each other. So at this point itself, if somebody can start asking, what is eclipse? Eclipse is when moon is in between sun and earth, and that is solar eclipse, and lunar eclipse is when earth is in between sun and moon. Now, according to this, which means an eclipse should happen every month, right? So then that question we have to explain why it doesn't happen every month and why does it miss and so on. So yeah, that is still not incorporated in this.
Okay, thank you.
But I think you can add that today solar eclipse or lunar eclipse in the display panel, right?
Right. It can be done. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
How exactly can we bring in the relevance of Panchanga into our everyday life? Look, it is all limited to the horoscope.
Right.
And of course, the eclipse. And it's something that happens in a temple, you see.
Right.
So, but we are interested in bringing its relevance to everyday life.
No, that's a very good question. In fact, you're right. That first thing, what has happened is, fortunately or unfortunately, we have started associating Panchanga with so strongly with astrology that
Yes.
we forget to see the relationship with anything else. So what I tell is, let's say every festival that we celebrate is according to our Panchanga. We say it is Deepavali. Now, Deepavali is celebrated on Kartika Amavasya. Right? And we say Makara Sankranti. Now, it will be so easy to tell the kids that Makara Sankranti will happen when sun is going from Dhanur Rashi to Makara Rashi. So, which means on Makara Sankranti day, sun will be here. And Ganesha Chaturthi. When we say Ganesha Chaturthi, the Chaturthi is here. And when Chaturthi happens, moon is here. And the angle between sun and moon is like this. We'll be celebrating Ganesha Chaturthi then. Sri Krishna Janmashtami will be celebrating. Ashtami, it is, and Krishna means it is Krishna Paksha. So that way,
Yes.
every festival is associated, and we use it, but we don't realize it. We call it Ratha Saptami, we call it Buddha Purnima, Mahalaya Amavasya. So it is lot more common in our daily life than we realize.
Right. I mean, it can be related to even to Islam festivals and the Christmas also, I think,
Yeah, see,
because
Christmas
they
is
look
very,
at the moon.
Christmas is basically they have decided 25th December, so that is a bit easy from our regular calendars. Whereas, yes, now what is the difference between Islamic calendar and our calendar? See, I don't know much, but whatever little bit I have learned about Islamic calendar is theirs is a lunar calendar. Basically, what they do is they keep on looking at the moon itself. But what happens if we do just that? See, we have a concept called Adhikamasa. Adhikamasa is something like in the English calendar, we introduce one day in February in the leap year, right? To correct that error that has accumulated over 3 years. Adhikamasa is something like that. The error that gets accumulated by only looking at the moon and ignoring the sun's movement, we have to correct it. Otherwise, the sun and moon will keep going out of, rather, the festivals will not happen in the right season, because seasons are determined by our position with respect to sun. So what I know about Islamic calendar is they don't apply this Adhikamasa correction. So that's why we see Ramjan comes sometimes in September, and sometimes it'll slowly, it keeps on shifting everywhere.
Yes.
Whereas for us, the festivals are very, very strongly associated with the season. Now, one more, that brings me to one question. See, there is a belief that different parts of India celebrate New Year differently. There doesn't seem to be much logic, right? No, but that is not very correct. See, with this calendar, we can explain that entire India celebrates New Year around the same time, maybe not on the same day. So what is the time? What is special about celebrating New Year, whether it is in Punjab or Srinagar or Kanyakumari or anywhere, is when sun enters Mesha Rashi. So when sun enters Mesha Rashi, the people who are following solar calendar, like Tamil Nadu, for Tamil Nadu, they will be celebrating their Tamil New Year on the exact day when sun enters Mesha Rashi. Whereas people who are following Chandramana calendar, they will select the Amavasya. Their Chaitra Masa will start when sun enters, or sun is close to Mesha Rashi, or the subsequent Paurnami has to be in Mesha Rashi. Like when the Paurnami happens, sun has to be in Mesha Rashi. Which means actually in this position of the sun is when entire whole of India, with a plus or minus 10 days or 12 days, whole of India celebrates New Year. That's the beauty of this. I keep telling like January 1st, selecting January 1st as a New Year has no astronomical significance. It is a random number that was selected, I think. Whereas when what we celebrate is very associated with what happens in the solar system, basically.
No, even we follow Chandramana Yugadi. And my friends who live in Kundapura, they say they follow Sauramana Yugadi.
Correct. No. That's
So,
right. What is that is right. See, as I said, right? What happens is in Chandramana Yugadi, see, when we look at the Chandramana Yugadi and look at the next Paurnami, that Paurnami will be such that sun is in Mesha Rashi. In fact, in this angle, sun will be there in that. So the previous Amavasya is taken as Yugadi. Like next day of Amavasya is taken as Yugadi. And see, there is also small difference between North Indian calendar and South Indian calendar. In the North Indian calendar, they select the Paurnami, the next day after Paurnami. North Indian calendar, next day of the Paurnami is taken as the beginning of a month. In the South India calendar, we take next day of Amavasya as the beginning of the month. So yeah, there's some such minor differences are there, but I would say they are all very minor. Like, but once we understand the overall concept, we see the whole of India is based on the same concept. Like the foundational concept is the same. Now there is one more interesting thing which occurred to me later after only building the clock. It occurred to me. What happens is, let's say at this moment, if a child is born, I told the child's nakshatra, we can say it is Vishaka nakshatra. Now, at this moment, let's say the child is born anywhere in the world, anywhere, like whether it's in the US or Europe or Russia or anywhere, the child's nakshatra will remain as Vishaka nakshatra, second pada, and the day will be Shukla Paksha Trayodashi Tithi. The reason why, and it becomes so easy. Suppose we get a call from the US that okay, somebody delivered a baby, and we can tell no, then the baby should be in Vishaka nakshatra. The reason why it is universal is this clock now is talking about the sun and the moon position, and so the relative to Earth, these positions of the relative angle between sun and the moon is not dependent on which place on Earth we are. So that angle remains the same, and therefore the nakshatra and tithi will remain the same.
Okay.
The time would be different. The time here in India is 11:37 a.m. and maybe in the US it is 12 p.m. or 10:30 p.m. or something like that. The time is different. The day also could be different. The Gregorian, the English calendar day also might be different. But our this thing will help us to tell this Panchangas. It's like a astronomical time.
That's very, very interesting information. Now, this is, would it be possible for you to give such a demonstration to the students of higher primary and high school at our school, the teachers also?
Yeah. In fact, I am ready to come there and interact with the
Oh,
students.
that would be very
very interactive
interesting
because
because,
they find it very interesting, madam.
oh yes, a couple of years ago, the theme for our mathematics expo was Panchanga. Not
Okay.
much could be explored by the teachers. Again, the priests were invited, but it was all limited information that they gave
Right.
us. You see, so this is looking at it from a physicist point of view is very important for the children.
You are very correct, ma'am, because a lot of things. Sorry, excuse me. You're right. There is a lot of astronomy involved, a lot of mathematics involved here, and so on. Because
Very much.
with the one question that will come up, right, is see, we are talking of angles here. Like Mesha Rashi is an angular, spatial angular angles.
Mm.
So and because the motion is not uniform. Just to go from Tula Rashi and the time it takes from one nakshatra to another nakshatra, the time is not uniform because of the ecliptic, because of the inclination of the lunar orbit, and so on. We are dealing with lot of ecliptical orbits and their projections on a plane. So it's a very complex mathematical interactions here.
True. No, you may have to explain all that to the students, that they would know what depth of knowledge has gone into it, you see, into Panchanga.
Right.
Yes, please.
Very correct.
Srinivas, who is there on the call again in the Zoom meeting, he will talk to you about when it would be convenient for you. We are there 5 days a week, 9 to 3. So you, at your convenience, please come over and demonstrate it at the school.
Okay, we'll select one of the days and
Oh yes, please.
sure. It will be my pleasure. Yes. Yeah, as I said, the whole concept it started with my urge to explain it to students, kids, and then the
It's very
concept.
important. It's very, even the teachers have to know that this is filled with knowledge, the sacred knowledge.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Add to it, there have been years of research and hard work and fine tuning which has gone into getting this to a final shape. And I think Hari is also working on fine tuning it further. And this is not the final product. There is still a little bit which is still in the works. We are continually trying to update it and make it even more knowledge sharing.
So should we wait until the next version comes up to buy it, you see?
No, so I would say no, because what happens is, so I would not expect any major changes to the like sun moon positions and this earth. I think in the last 1 year or 1.5 years, we have got the required level of accuracy, and therefore it will not change much. Any additional things like, okay, whether we have to indicate the eclipse and all that, that will all be updated in this display only. So
Okay.
the and also what happens is probably different variations or sizes of the clocks will come. It might not be the same size, because some temples are asking for a bigger one, much bigger one. And also there is somebody who has asked for a tabletop version of this, a smaller one to keep on the table, and such variants.
Okay.
Yeah, that one thing that is there, and you rightly asked at the beginning, is what happens is the moment kids or anybody these days, when they associate with some shastra or some ritual or some astrology, their mind switches off. But once we show the relationship with the solar system, and we say it is currently what is happening in the solar system, then there is a curiosity. Oh, this is real. This is right now. This is how it is, type of thing.
Yes. And we are in the network of the influence of grahas is easily explained to the children because of the network of the phones, you see. So in our times, we couldn't understand. Now it's easy for them. There is a tower and the phone gets connected to Airtel or Jio, whatever, you
Right.
see. So it's easy for them to comprehend what you explain.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. That
No, you're
network
right.
that we live in, the influence of all the grahas. And I never knew the planets were different from grahas. We were always wondering how come there are grahas are more than the planets if they are the same, you see, but nobody explained that they were different.
Right, right. So somebody just equated that a planet means graha, and maybe that is not a right word. And probably
Okay.
in English there is no equivalent word for graha.
Oh. Mm.
And Rahu Ketu. See, what happens is
Oh,
Rahu
yes.
Ketu, they don't exist physically, but they are, what we can say is, they are like mathematical abstractions. Two nodal points which we use. It will be easy to calculate the eclipse when it occurs. We can predict. Today, people, I'm sure, they might graduate to do a bachelor's in science, but they might have difficulty to tell when an eclipse occurs. But this concept of using Rahu Ketu as an object, and and track their motion with respect to the motion of sun and moon, that gives the ability to predict when is the next eclipse.
Okay.
Any other thing, or shall we stop it here? Or maybe since I'll stop the recording at least.
Yeah, at least stop.
We'll pause the recording. Maybe.
Interesting.